Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Disc Week News. I want to first start off by apologizing for missing last week. Last week, really long story short, I thought it was allergies. Turns out I was genuinely sick. Let me fix my camera here. And I had to go get like antibiotics for it in what I thought was just crazy allergies. So I had to completely miss last week. I couldn't talk for more than like 5 seconds without like coughing or like sniffling or something. But we're back this week. So real quick recap on what I might have missed last episode. The last episode was the Kansas City Wide Open. This is just gonna real quick recap on it because I missed it, obviously. Okay, so Gannon won, Ricky got second, Paul got third, which is a crazy final three. And then FPO at Kansas City Wide Open was Holland, Cadence Burge, yeah, and Ella. And I'm just gonna check the course stats on Kansas City Wide Open. I really like that course, like visually. I know round 3 was technically different, so they had a little bit of a, what's the best way to put it? They had a cutoff, or a cut, so there wasn't only 9 holes or something because of the weather last week. I love that course a lot, though. I didn't check any of the stats for it, so this is me just looking at it. It looks like there was only one hole for MPO that played more than 60% of the field got the same score. As some of you know, one of the important analytics for me is scoring separation on the course. So I look at it like, okay, if 60% or more of the field got the same score on that hole, maybe not the best hole, not enough scoring separation. And Kansas City Wide Open was pretty good about that. Let me go ahead and share my screen for you guys. I'm sorry, I normally do that. Screen. There we go. Perfect. This is the Kansas City Wide Open at Bad Rock Creek Disc Golf Course. This was MPO round 1. A lot of really great scoring separation, an even amount, it seems like, of birdies, pars, and bogeys, which is fantastic. Like I said, there's only like one hole each round, I think, that had more than 60% of the field get the same score, which is honestly fantastic. For example, Waco, it was like 8 holes all had the same like 60% of the field took the same score, and I don't love that. I think it's Waco. I just think it's outdated. But okay, so that was Kansas City Wide Open. Let me pop back over. Oh, and then the Disc Golf Masters thing happened. I totally spaced that, where AB went out and shot a ridiculous number. I think it was like, I don't even remember what the scores were. I apologize. This whole Ace Run Pro thing kind of has me, not Ace Run Pro, GK Pro thing kind of throws me through a loop, and I still don't quite know the best way to find like the stats and stuff. I even asked, and like nobody had an idea of where you find course stats or stuff like that for the GK Pro, but it's its first year, so I'm not going to fault it. So far, it's been a pretty cool product. Okie dokie, let's talk about the Champions Cup presented by OTB and MVP Disc Sports. Obviously, there was some weird, what's the best way to put it? There was some really strange, like, not animosity towards things, but like, it was just a weird event because, like, okay, last year Kristen had her whole thing, or 2 years ago Kristen had her whole thing with her daughter. Now this year it's something else. Like, the whole thing's been funky around the event. The problem is the course is really great. It's a weird, like, almost park style course, which we don't get a whole lot of, I feel like, on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. It's either golf course or like golf course wide open, or it is wooded. There's not a lot of park style, and I really like park style golf for the most part. I don't want too much of it. I don't think it's necessarily the best, but I do like park style enough. And this seems like it is a golf course, but you wouldn't necessarily know it as much as you would see it from others, right? Okay, let's talk about FPO first. FPO first round, I have to give a shout out to teammate Hannah Wynn and Silver Saarinen for shooting their highest rated rounds of the ever, actually, I think. think it was their highest rated rounds ever, which is fantastic. Hannah shot 9 down. Silva shot 10 down. They were both a couple strokes, like 4 strokes ahead of third place, which is awesome. You don't see that a whole lot where 2 people are like sticking out above everybody else in FPO necessarily. It's usually like 1, or maybe everybody's kind of tied up and close. So, I mean, with stats like this, good luck, right? So, I'm going to move my mic a little closer to my head. I apologize. There's some background noise if you can hear it. My bad. So the looks like look at these stats, like 90% fairway, 1 for 1 C2, 12-18 circle 1 regulation, 13-18 C2 in regulation. Like those stats are going to do it. And then 2-2 scrambling. Hannah never had to scramble. 18 out of 20 fairway hits for both of them was great. 10-18 C1, 15-18 C2 for Silva. And then 9 out of 10 C1X made for her, and she made a third of her C2 putts. Looks like really it was just the bogey. Like that's all that did it for Hannah for the most part. So really great first round. Nothing too crazy I think happened over the next couple rounds. Like Paige Pierce made a push, which is cool, but she was already in third place. Kristen pushed up a little bit. Round 3 was when Missy took over. What did Missy shoot that third round? She shot 10 down that round, which is as good as Silva's first round. So that's great to see. Like I said, Missy made a big push. Kristen shot 7 down, Paige shot 6 down, and then the next Silva shot even, but still stuck around at 4th place. Hannah had a rough next couple rounds, I think. But I think in the third round, they had like that change in layout, which is interesting. I really like the idea of like, okay, these 4 rounds, if you're going to have it on one course, at least switch up the course a bit. So they did a cool job of that. None of the holes necessarily stuck out as terrible. And then Missy came out and won. Obviously, we have our little thing we'll talk about in a little bit. I'll talk about it after I talk about the guys. Missy only shot 3 down that final round. Paige shot 2 down. Like that final round, nobody really shot lights out. I think the best of the third round was 5 down. Yeah, Holland shot the best of the 4th round, and that was it. So, where are we at now? I'm just gonna look at course stats real quick. Oh, yeah. So the cut kind of fudges with the stats a little bit. You're going to have more people taking the same scores. Wow. Okay. Maybe the change was worse than I thought. So let's see. Round 1, we had, I'm going to go by round 2. Round 2, I think, was a little better as far as scoring. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 holes that all played like 60% of the field parted or more, which isn't great. I know it was kind of windy, so a lot of people were maybe playing a little safe. I think that's why these birdie averages are a little lower than we're used to seeing. It is a hard course, a lot of OB, and most of the people were just trying to play it safe because like no OB is what was going to win. Like there were 24 OB strokes on hole 13 and 26 on 18 for FPL, so it's going to hurt. What was the hardest hole on round 2? Hardest hole was hole 18. Makes sense. A lot of people were running it and then missing putts and stuff like that. So, and then hole 17 also played as second hardest. Then hole 2, which doesn't really surprise me. Hole 6 had 53% bogeys. Ouch. Hard FPO hole. The triple Mando, I think, got a lot of people. So, and then let's check round 3 because at least I think there was more of the field playing it at that point. Yeah. So I think hole 13 played as the hardest. Not even close. That was the third hardest. So hole 12 played as the hardest on round 3, which makes sense. That hole is really gnarly. Checking out all the OB, possible OB and that kind of thing. This is such a cool course though. I really enjoy this course and I hope they play it more. Swinson Park's really cool. I mean, they'll probably play more as Champions Cup, but you know what I mean. And then the easiest hole was hole 7, which is, yeah, that makes sense. It's kind of this weird, like, the 760-foot par 5 where you kind of just gap shot, gap shot, gap shot. They were all pretty hittable. Everybody birdied it apart it. So 760 feet is pretty soft for a golf course par 5 for the most part. And let's check out MPO real quick, and then we'll get into all the other stuff. MPO, obviously, our winner was, let me go back to scores. Sullivan. Nope, he was not the winner. Isaac was the winner. It was stuck in round 3. Isaac was the winner. Everybody's calling him, I think, Major Robinson at this point, and I think it's a totally fair nickname. The dude is just so clutch, especially on these types of park courses. He really shines when it comes to this kind of thing, where you aren't necessarily forced a certain shot. You can make the back end turnovers work. It's really just placement, and that's where he's elite at it, is these like placement style games. AB got second. Doesn't really surprise me because this is a big arm friendly course, and it is a forehand friendly course, which is why Andrew, also the best putter on tour, I think it's fair to say still, also succeeded. So really great top 3. Some things of note: Paul McBeth, first round, shot a 14 down. And by the way, the winning score was 26 down after 4 rounds. So 14 down that first round. All he had to do was shoot 5 down the next 3 rounds, and he would have shot 29 down, and that would have won by 3. So not sure what the hiccup was. I will say, everybody was saying that, like, oh, McBeast is back, all that good stuff. I think that kind of just shows... I'm a huge McBeth fan, by the way. I think that kind of just shows who really was and was not around during the McBeast era. Now, the thing that I noticed the most was, his C2 putting was going in. 6 out of 9 C2 putts, 7 out of 7 C1 putts is amazing. The C1 putts don't surprise me. He should be there most of the time. Up at least 90%, I think, is more than fair to say for McBeth. Now, the C2 putts. Now, 6 out of 9 C2 putts is crazy, and that's definitely what got him. Like, think about it. If he only made one of those, he would have only shot 9 down, which he would have, Andrew Miranda and Jesse Neiman, he would have been tied with like Adam Hamilton 4th. So those C2 putts are really what does it. And I've always talked about, like, okay, your C1, C2 in regulation and C2 putts are what win tournaments in MPO anymore. If you're not succeeding at those, you're not going to win. And that shows, because he was 9 out of 18 C1 reg, 17 out of 18 shots for C2 in regulation, which is nuts on that course. That's really what was doing it. He was like driving great, and then he was converting 66% of those C2 putts. And like I said, what I was going to go back to was, this kind of shows who was and wasn't around during that McBeth era, because during the like McBeast era, it was never really a question to him whether or not those C2 putts were going in. When he let go of that disc, he knew it. And this weekend, while he shot incredibly, that 14, almost 1097 rated round is insane. But you could see when he let go of those C2 putts, he kind of did that thing where he like slouches down, like, oh, he's like, I hope it goes in. That was 2017 McBeth rarely did that, unless it was like windy. So I do think he very much could be intentioned to win this year. I hope he does. And I mean, he showed he's got the skills still. I think it's mostly mental, and he's got a weird hitch in his backhand, I think. And maybe his putt from that labrum surgery and recovery. And I think that's still kind of doing some stuff to him mentally. We'll see. Now, nothing really crazy happened the next couple rounds. It seemed pretty boring, honestly, until we were like 9 holes from the end, and there was like 6 people all at 20 down or something crazy. It was fun to watch on Jomez because like people kept like teetering back and forth, and just Germ's commentary was very good on it. I didn't get to catch it live, but Germ's commentary on that last round where he's like, all right, somebody finally broke the 20 down marker. So really fun to watch. Again, congrats to Isaac. That was crazy. Let's check out the course stats real quick. Which one played better? Round 1 or round 2? I wish it gave me a course average. Like, okay, the course averaged 8 down for the day. Oh, the course averaged 5 down for the day. I think that'd be really great information. I might have to start getting that going forward. So, I think it played a little easier. Looks like it played pretty similar. I'm gonna say it played a little easier round one, just from like clicking back and forth and sort of guessing the averages on at least birdie rates. So there was 4 holes that played 60% of the field shot the same. Not bad, honestly, for this field. 60% of the, especially like, I don't think it was ever calm necessarily. It was like kind of breezy. So, we'll take that. Hold on. Pause the live stream for just a second. I don't think. Okay, it's working. That's weird. Sorry, I was getting some weird side by side over here on my YouTube thing. That was being funky. Okay. All right. So let's see. Round 3 was before the cut. I think it was maybe a little windier too. Round 4 was like off and on windy, it seemed, depending on where you were on the course. So the easiest hole, hole 6, makes sense. Again, it's that kind of easy par 5. And then 70% of the field took a birdie on it, which is just crazy. Round 3. Hardest hole, also hole 18. Again, makes sense. It really pressures people. You have to get in a good landing spot. And if you're not in a good landing spot, like it takes 2 good shots to get a birdie on this hole. And 1 bad shot will turn it into a bogey. So, like if you're not good off the tee, you're not going to get set up for that last shot. So, I'm checking round 1. I'm curious what the easiest hole was. Hole 14. Wait. Did I read that right? Hole 12 was the hardest hole. Okay. Playing 0.4 over. And again, makes sense. It was a really tough par 4, almost 900 feet. A lot of water carries. I think there's a Mando in play, like not the easiest hole in the world. So, and I'm just curious, the final rounds, what played the hardest? 14 played the easiest again. 17 played the hardest last round. Not by a lot. Well, okay, 0.5. 0.05. All right, cool. Hole 17 is such a cool hole. I mean, there's a lot going on, but like you had to be accurate, and I just really like that hole. Maybe a little overdone, in my opinion, but I still like it a lot. And yeah, that'll do it for the 2025 DGPT, 2025 PDGA Champions Cup by MVP and OTB. So let's talk about the other stuff, right? So there was the whole controversy about Kristen Lott getting it's a stance violation technically because she bumped her disc while she was throwing that forehand. It was obviously like there was not a lot of grass. It was kind of muddy. So she stepped, and then I'm going to, from side view, let's say this is her disc. It's a lens cap. This is her disc. And then her foot planted. And then as she's like swinging, it slid forward into it. Is it a stance violation? Yes. And you'll hear me say, excuse me, you'll hear me say, it is very dry in my room, that we all agree when we sign up for the PDGA, we all agree to play by the same rules. The problem is even if you were just watching coverage, like those couple of cards, we saw stance violations, foot faults constantly. People stepping on disc, maybe not too far away, bumping into discs. And it really, like, okay, if we're not going to call all of them or like the close ones or whatever, are we all agreeing to play by the same rules at that point? I'm not sure. I'm very on the fence on the whole thing. I do felt it was kind of predatory to come after Kristen like that. especially after reading her response on the whole thing. And it was, she asked the rules official, are you sure I hit it after or before I let go of the disc? Because technically, you can let go of the disc and then slide into it and bump it all you want, and it's technically a legal throw. As long as when you release the disc, your foot is in your little 20 by 30 centimeter lie, technically it's a legal throw. So she asked the rules official, hey, are you sure I let go of the disc after I bumped it? And he said, well, I can't pay attention to two things at once, but I'm still comfortable making the call. That's where it started to feel predatory to me, because, like I said, we had all the time. Like the next, over the next couple holes, there were the same violation happening on lead cards, MPO, FPO, all that stuff. And Kristen was the only one called on it, I believe. That's a problem. Especially, again, it seemed predatory in the way where he's like, well, I felt comfortable making the call, and no one on the card seconded it. That's where it also got funky. Now they don't have to, because it's the rules official. So that's just the way the game plays, and that's okay. Now, how do we fix it? The big thing I see is, let me first back up. My biggest issue with the rule is, I don't know if you guys can see that lens flare. I'll have to check that later. Sorry, I just noticed it. My biggest issue is, let me grab a disc. 1 second. A little dusty, but it's fine. Okay, so sorry, I'm going to be a little out of focus. The disc should be in focus. Again, a little dusty. This Z Heat's probably older than some of you guys. So, or Z Flex. All right. So here's my lie. All right. This is where my disc lands. The hole is that way. Okay. The hole is towards my microphone. The problem becomes, here's my lie. My lie is 20 to 30 centimeters back, 20 centimeters wide of the back edge of this disc. I mark the front of it. Move the disc. My lie has now moved forward. What? The width of a disc, right? So 9 inches or something. Now, that's a problem, because it's like an extra 20 centimeters. And let's say, here's my disc. I foot fault by tapping my disc, just barely. But had I marked it, my foot been in the same spot, I'm still in that 30 centimeters. Totally legal. That's my problem with that rule, is how we mark the discs. The only solution I kind of came up with was, I understand the reason of marking it. Obviously, you're marking it because you're like, okay, I want to throw that disc again. Or sometimes you mark it because it's technically better footing. Well, if we're marking in the front of it, technically, we're moving our lie, because a legal lie is behind this, and we mark it, and now all of a sudden our lie's up here. That doesn't make any sense. In my opinion, we count the front edge as our legal lie. Now, if you bump it, I guess it's not that big of a deal, because technically that's where it was, and then we could do the same thing we do on like lost discs or whatever, where the card comes to an agreement on where the disc came to rest, and that's where your lie was. Here it is. There's your front of your disc. Sorry, your guys is right. The front of your disc is your legal lie now. So if you step on your disc, it's not a big deal. Who cares? Honestly, clearly it's not a competitive advantage to step on your disc or bump into it. It's not egregious or intentional ever. So it's just kind of a goofy thing. Now, when we mark it and then our foot's in the same spot, no biggie. So to do that, we may have to extend our lie back to like 40 centimeters. So it's like, if a sheet of paper is about this wide, it would be like closer to this. So that way our legal lie is here. We mark it. It's the back edge of the mini. So here's your legal lie. This is the front. And it goes back to about almost a sheet of paper behind, but it doesn't change. If we mark it, this whole area is now legal. That's just my opinion. I think the front edge of the disc should be the start of your lie, and if you bump it, who cares? It's not a competitive advantage. You just make the legal lie technically the front of your disc, and as long as your foot was behind that point when you release the disc, who cares, even if you step on it? That's just my opinion. I think that's an easy way to fix that stupid rule. I think that would fix more issues than it brings up, which it brings up the issue of, again, if you bump it, where was your legal lie, blah, blah, blah. Again, the card just comes to an agreement on where it was. When you're throwing a disc, that much of a, like, gap isn't that big of a deal. And we can agree on that because if this is my disc and I mark it, my lie now just advanced, whatever, 15, 20 centimeters forward. Obviously, it's not that big of a deal, or we couldn't mark the front of our disc. So that's just my opinion on this whole goofy lie thing. It's so hard to see when somebody releases a disc and when it was we had to go to slow-mo to see when they released it. And most of the time when anybody throws, your foot doesn't pivot until after you release the disc because you're following through, and then you start to pivot on your hip. Like the hit of a disc, like you guys are where my foot is. Here's my heel. You plant, your disc is released, and then your shoulders come through, and as your hips come through, that's when your your foot pivots on the heel, typically on a good throw. And I would say most of the top pros are doing that almost every single time. So like if you bump a disc, it's either as you're planting your foot, so it's clearly some kind of fault, or you slip like in Kristen's case. Again, not a competitive advantage, so who cares? The rules exist to create fairness, right? So if it's not a competitive advantage, who cares? Also, it's a self-governed sport, so a rules official can just come in and make one call, and that's it. Like, I would love rules officials on every card, but it just seems predatory to come in, make one call, not call all the other clear ones that are foot faults. Like, Kristen wants to play by the rules. That's why she got away from that 2-foot... Excuse me. Kristen wants to play by the rules. That's why she got away from that 2-foot jump putt, because people were calling her out like, hey, it's foot faults. So she said, okay, fine. I'll get away from that like big super jump putt that is obviously a stance violation because she was airborne half the time when she was doing it. So, yeah. That's just my kind of opinion on the whole thing. Again, I don't want to take away from Missy. I don't think necessarily Kristen was going to win it. She didn't have a ton of momentum. I mean, she had some momentum, sure, but I mean, it's not that Missy didn't. Missy came and birdied 17, and she laid up on 18 to win it because that's all she had to do. So if she was playing a little more aggressive, she probably would have been 28 down. That's 3 strokes ahead of what Kristen was. Only 2 strokes, I guess, if she took that, bogey. But anyways, great job, Missy. Great job, Isaac. The only other thing I guess I want to sort of acknowledge is the whole, I don't know if you guys saw it, Drew Gibson posted a video about Cupcake, and it was like, it was a video on him putting. I think it was on hole 16. Now, he did get stroked, I will say. Cupcake did get stroked on it. But Drew took a video of it. Did not call him at all in the time violation on the first putt, but he was well aware it was over 30 seconds, and then did it again, and then it seemed sarcastic in the moment. I don't think it was actually sarcastic. We all kind of just say it. He said nice putt after the second one that went in. And here's my problem with it. And Cupcake has said out loud, he said it on a really good blog, like a blog by the PDGA. He's like, stroke me if I'm doing it. He's aware it happens. It's the yips. He doesn't he doesn't see how time goes by. And you'll never see me do this defending Nico, but like, I don't know if you guys ever saw it on Skins. Calvin literally used his phone to set an alarm when Nico had got to his lie, and it like went off. It did that like nuclear sound there when it hit 30 seconds. Nico turned around and was like, that wasn't 30 seconds. So when you have the yips like this, you're unaware of what time is. And for Cupcake, he admitted his like arm kind of gets stuck and he like can't convince his brain to take over. Now, this goes into a whole other discussion I've had before, where I think the PDGA should be providing some sort of maybe like a sports therapist, and if they actually want to help their players, at least make that available to them like freelance. Doesn't necessarily have to be on staff. It can just be like via Zoom or something, but make it available to the players and the players not have to pay for it out of pocket. Because if your players have better mental stability, then you're making a better product. So it's like PDJ would just be, or DGPT would be just like investing in their players. And if they can afford to go supposedly, rumoredly, 7 figures in debt on a losing battle because it was federal law, I think they can afford a part-time for a couple months staff sports therapist, even if like a sports therapist could be doing like administration stuff when they're not working with players. So anyways, that's kind of my opinion. I think that would be a great idea. Cupcake's conversation on it, like a lot of people are going after him really hard, and I think that's kind of stupid. I think it's just as much on Drew at that point, because he didn't call him on the first one. So as a official, you could walk over and say, why didn't anybody call him? He clearly went over 30 seconds. I'm gonna stroke the entire card because it's delay of play, and the card is enabling that to happen. Call him out, he'll stop doing it. Like if you stay consistent, he'll figure it out, or he'll leave because he's just going to be losing because he's going to be taking these stroke things. Cupcake doesn't seem like he's taking any of it personal. Yes, we're a self-governed sport and it sucks. And yes, I would love to have officials on everything. But like, you just have to be able to remove, when we're a self-governed sport, you have to be able to remove yourself from the vibes of the card and say, hey man, this is what it is. You took more than 30 seconds. Going to have to give you a warning or whatever. Like, and then the next one, hey man, we're going to have to stroke you. That was definitely more than 30 seconds. We were paying attention. We got to watch on. It's like stuff like that. There is a way to do it. And Cupcake doesn't seem like he'd be taking it personal. He said on that blog again, dude, just give me the penalty. He's aware that it happens. He's just unaware in the moment. So he'll either figure it out or he won't. I think that article was really good. Shout out to Cupcake for being brave enough to actually come out and say something, because again, a lot of people were like, oh, you're a professional, figure it out. Of course, that's a bunch of 800 rated dorks on Facebook, and you're going to see that a lot. But yeah, sorry, I got a little heated there for a second. Also, it's like 90 degrees in my room, it feels like right now. I don't know what's going on. It's been warm in here all day. Anyways, thanks for everybody that came and hung out. Appreciate you guys in the chat. We're going to stay a little more consistent on this. Like I said, apologize for last week. I was ill. If you are by chance watching this right now, make sure you get on my TikTok. I'm doing a $400 giveaway, and I'm announcing it tomorrow evening, like 3 or 4 Eastern time. So make sure you just get on there and get entered in that giveaway. So this is a self-produced podcast. So thanks for hanging in there with me while I get this whole thing figured out. You know, switching between all the screens is all me, monitors and the camera and all that stuff is all me. But thanks again. So far, this has been a lot of fun, and it's kind of a way for me to today was an event session, but it is a little fun way for me to stay a little bit more involved with the Pro Tour, because I felt myself not wanting to be as involved, and this seems like a great way to do it. Thanks again for hanging out. Have a good night.